Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will call to meeting to order of November 20th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Holy cow. And we do have a quorum. We have 8 board members present. Glenn is by Zoom. He is under the weather this evening and he is online. So I will entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda. Is there a second? Any discussion? New format and there's no discussion. I love it. All in favor of the approval of the all in favor of the approval of the agenda signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. I will make a motion for the approval of the board meeting motions and minutes of October 16th. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the motions and minutes of October 16th, 2023 signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. All right, 3 minutes each, new topics and agenda items.
There was no request.
No request. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not right here too.
Dave, if we could just on this, since there aren't any, just so everybody hears in the recording that'll get on the website later, is if you want to ask us to consider an agenda item, it needs to be submitted a week prior to this meeting. So last week, Monday. Right now, email it to the secretary. We are working with the web admin to put a form online that you can do it with. If you want to address something in the new business section with the board, you have to submit that by noon the day of the board meeting. Email that to the secretary and for right now, but we're also working on the form on the website for that too.
So we got
That's how that
nothing on
works.
either.
We got nothing on
Okay.
either for this week.
All right, unfinished and new business, unfinished business, IT committee.
All right, last meeting, John Irvin had recommended that we consider putting in place an IT committee because we've got the security gates, we've got the internet, we've got whatever the heck Bay's linked to the thing over there. Through
Fiber.
here, we've got line of sight, we've got the camera equipment, office computer equipment, and I don't know that there's anybody but that really knows what all of that is and how it all interacts together. So John's recommendation was we put a committee together to, so this committee would be the one that would, one, understand everything that we have, and two, anything new that would go in, it would go through the committee to make sure that we're not busting up something else, or that we're maximizing what we do have before we do something else IT related. So
And this would be a chair and a co-chair, and then they could
then they
pick
would
their own
get a
committee
committee together.
members.
Yep. So I guess I will make a motion that we formally establish an IT committee with a chair and a co-chair, and they will select their committee members.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
That's adding another chair too.
No,
No,
it'd be
no.
just one of the 9.
Somebody else is gonna get assigned.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be, well, it'd be a committee assigned to one of the 9 board members with a co-chair as well. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to create an IT committee with the chair and co-chairs signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
All right, the second part of that is I nominate Glenn Witt to be the chair for the IT committee.
Glenn, you have been nominated. Do you accept that nomination?
Yeah, see if there's any other.
Well, I gotta get his first.
I accept the nomination.
Is there any other nominations? Tilly, you had some.
No can do.
Oh, all right, you have been nominated, all in favor of Glenn being the IT chair. It's kind of useless to vote, but all in favor? Congratulations.
Really so.
I nominate Glenn as the co-chair.
That's what happens when you're sick.
Yeah, when you show up, you
Right.
get all the stuff dumped in your lap. Oh,
So that's so everybody knows. Glenn and I did chat about that as to if he thought he had the skill set and interest to do it. So I didn't just nominate him out of the blue because he wasn't here. But just don't miss
Right.
again, and we'll do it. Anybody want to be the co-chair or any nominations for a co-chair?
I will take that.
All right, Dave
unless there's
nominates
somebody
himself
else.
as the co-chair. You accept that?
I do.
All in favor? Any other nominations for a co-chair? All in favor of Dave as the co-chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Any
Dave.
opposed? Congratulations, Dave. Then you're even here.
All right, events committee.
That's the tall one over there.
We had it originally, I just put it back together.
Oh,
For just like the major events. It doesn't have to be anything too formal, but someone that can take care of Halloween, someone that can take care of all the bigger events that we see and kind of get a wrap on that, but also be the point of contact. Liaison between the person proposing the party and the board, making sure.
just
there's no
so
liability.
everybody on the board and anybody here knows that if anybody wants to use any POA common ground or any resources of the POA, that they need to coordinate that through the events committee chair and co-chair. And they will communicate with the appropriate persons or vendors or whatever it may be. So we have eyes on what's going on at any of these events. So do we have anybody that is willing to step up for that, Steve? Oh,
You know, I just have one part here is, I mean, I think it's a good idea, but we less than a year ago decided as the board, we were not going to be the host of any events on it, that we're, you know, we got plenty to do without hosting community events, especially when you got events and adventures and the HOA, that we didn't really need to be another event coordinator, but so if this is truly the oversight of the events and the approval of the events and not hosting of events or thinking of events, you know, I have been knee deep in this so far, so I would be the chair.
On the nominate you.
If it's that, if it's.
yeah, I
if it's
agree. That's all.
hosting,
We're right.
Correct. And it shouldn't happen more than a few times a year. We just really want one point of contact that's pretty set up, that they know they can go to and ask questions versus going to someone at the board. And then if they don't have the information, then they can bring the chairperson can bring it to the board and ask their
I
questions.
assume you put a box on the form that it's signed off by.
Yeah, right.
Is there a way that you could have a property owner do that and bring it to the board?
We don't care who brings it to the board, but the property owner is not gonna be the chair of it.
No, not the chair, but.
Yeah, anybody can bring an event to the,
and just bring it to John, and then that way John doesn't have to be running around, he can work on his other things.
The person hosting the party is gonna bring it to John.
Right.
It's gonna be a different person most likely every time, so it's not like we can
No,
nominate
you
just
have
one.
just one person.
They just gotta make sure that all the contact information for any vendors, anybody accessing here that's gonna use the property and whatnot, licenses, insurance, liquor, whatnot, that's all gonna be completed on a form, coordinated with John. And then there may be need for him to reach out on a phone call or an email to verify things, but yeah, the heavy lifting will be done by the coordinator, and he will just make sure everything's.
To do was to say that you had one person that could do that and just turn it all over to John like we were doing before. You had it all done and it would just get turned over to.
We could do that through the committee.
That, yeah, I mean, he can do that if he chooses, but we tried that and it blew up. So any other
I think the co-chair ought to be somebody on Lakes and Beaches, just.
doesn't hurt.
You know, somebody that-
Boy, you slid out of that one.
He did it just before somebody thought of maintenance.
So you accept the nomination of co-chair and our chair, and Kent, you accept the nomination of co-chair. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Don't even think about it.
Aye.
All right, new business. There is no other unfinished business, is there? New business, parking stickers. Who's that?
Well, I had requested that we talk about this a little bit because I know Wendy has to order stickers and do all that kind of stuff. And my thinking is that I'd like to go back the way it used to be, where everybody who is in Raintree has a sticker. We know who belongs here, and if you're getting around how we do the assessments and all that, I don't know how it all works, but I miss having people not having a sticker. And with the security problems we've had, I think if every homeowner has their car registered and a sticker, we know they belong here. If you don't see it, then, you might have a little heads up. Also, my feeling too is that if I'm in good standing, having a different sticker for the beach, excludes me if I don't pay the higher price, but I'm in good standing and I paid my dues. Why should I not be able to go to the beach and park on a whim? I didn't buy my sticker the last time because I hadn't ever really been down to the beach, but the one time that I wanted to, it was a Sunday afternoon. I was like, oh, I don't have a sticker. I can't go down. And for the first time here at Raintree, I felt like I was not a property owner with the same privileges as everybody. That's my feeling. So I think we should, as a board, kind of reconsider that.
Sure.
If you have other ideas, I mean, I'm open to it, but the security thing, I think for one, is huge. And then,
And just some history with that, with all this stuff we went through around this thing last year for 5-6 months, is that, the community's input overwhelmingly when we sought just input on an item, never was a ballot or motion or anything else, was that the owners value that owner only parking big time. The other part is that at least since, the coming up on 2 years I've been on the board, nobody always had a registered vehicle and a parking sticker. I mean, it might be a long time ago, but when we were going through this whole project, we only sold 1,500 stickers for the prior year. So you figure if, average household has 2 cars, buys 2 stickers, you got 750 out of 2,400 property owners out here that that had their vehicles registered. From that aspect of it. So, that's just something, that a little bit of history with that. Certainly with this change last year, I'm certain that fewer people bought a sticker for their vehicle. On that aspect of it. And, the other part is if we do go to stickers, mandated stickers for everybody, what do we have to enforce it with? Just an open question. I don't know what we have to enforce it with. If they don't buy it, what do we do? Who's gonna catch them? How are we gonna enforce it? Or do we just create one more thing that's, that we don't have a great enforcement measure around?
To that point, John, and I know this is a ballpark number because we never had the exact amount of possible vehicles in this subdivision, but we calculated that about 30% of the people didn't even worry about buying a sticker. So within bringing this back in, we've got to figure out a way to cause everybody to buy a sticker. And the only way I know how to do it, and it would be a step in the right directions towards the security, but without getting that budget, I don't know, would be with the RFID. But I don't know that we have the money. I mean, we maybe have enough money for 1 year, but then we're stuck. So, and I look at it like, if 70% of the people are buying a sticker and 30% of the people aren't, what good is it doing us?
Well, it's a start. It's better than nothing. I sit and think right now, we have no idea who's in here. That's my thought, is we have no idea who's in here and who's not.
I guess reality is though, even with a sticker on every owner's vehicle, you don't know who's in here or not in here because of the guest access policy. I mean, everybody can have 10 gate cards and, they can give the gate card to whoever they want. And we don't have any information on those people to say whether they belong here, the vehicle belong here or not. So it's,
But the point being is if they don't have a sticker, they're a guest.
Not necessarily.
Right, but I think that's the tough part. I
Legally.
mean,
What was that, Glenn?
oh, I
Hang on,
just
let me
think
turn
it's
my
tough
volume
to,
up.
it's just really, really tough to enforce when, the residents have so many guests down.
Well, the thought process behind it was before City and Village was officially decided on was, if the thing had passed, we could have just got like a cheap sticker, pretty much done anything, kept it at the $2 and it would have just been a lifetime sticker, pretty much. Just for their vehicles, so we had their registration because when they came in to pay their assessments, we had them already in the office, pretty much. But City and Village, it's gonna be even harder than that because everything else. At the very least, we could get at least all the new owners. Anybody that comes in for beach access. Kind of break it down that way.
Well, and let me throw this out there. I don't know what we're charging for them, but I know part of that $25 that we agreed on was for the help support the beach or their budget, wasn't it?
Not on the parking stickers, the hang tags.
The
The hang tags.
So that
day
still
passes.
would be the $25.
Yeah.
Well, no, you were
Right.
saying that.
I was just thinking that everybody who has a car that lives here, for the most part, would probably, because honestly, I didn't know that you had an option to not buy one until last year. Because I thought you just did it every year, being a new homeowner, and didn't know that I didn't, and that the real reason was only so that I could park down at the beach. I thought it was to get in and that you knew I was a property owner. I just, if we can do the RFD, I wouldn't be against that to start, but I just, yeah, I think
You had to have
okay.
a sticker on each car that you owned. And you had to have you had to turn in the number on your car before you got your sticker for your car, and that went in your file.
Technically, by the way the ballot went, now it is technically that way. So until we decide on what kind of sticker and what, by the rule book now, it does say that everybody has to have some kind of identification, but either by sticker or by hang tag or some kind of rain tree identification,
So we're in violation of that.
technically. Well,
Well,
till about
But what John
next
was
year.
well, not yet, because the way it reads is we have to put a rule in that defines what that is. So it's just open-ended at the moment. But we took the restriction out that blocked it from happening with the ballot, but
well, it's
the way
still
it
in the rule
read-
book though. Actually, no, it's in the covenants.
Well, to Jerry, your point, if everybody bought a car sticker, what does that do for them?
Well, it puts stick, they have to have a car sticker on your car, you have to get it on your car, you have your car in Ranger.
Okay, and 30% of the people previously, at least, didn't buy that and it wasn't enforced. So that's the point here, that we gotta be able to enforce it. Was it ever enforced other than,
Get in the gate.
Yeah.
okay, perfect, yeah, so RFID solves that problem, but we don't have the money for it
we may have money.
for 1 year.
Well, but RFID is, if I understood it right, it's a purchase, one-time purchase we make. The ongoing expense would be, when we have to, but because it's electronic, you shouldn't have to replace the RFID tag every year. It's electronic, we turn it on and off like the gate cards would be.
Well, the
Oh.
gate's gotta be upgraded, so that would be a one-time cost and then maintenance.
Yeah, but I thought that was within the bid.
It might be, I'm just saying, that is a cost that we haven't budgeted for. I mean, I know we got that special election money still.
That's what I figured if it's enough, that's what we pay it with, is the.
Anyway, it is in the covenants.
It is, the covenant
Yeah.
specifically states, referred to the rules.
All vehicles operating within range tree must display a property owner's identification or well, okay, yeah, technically. But my point is that technically they should still have some kind of
Right.
identification.
But there's nothing in the rules yet
No,
to support that.
I
So,
am having a rules meeting at the end of the month anyway, so I can have that brought up.
I mean, I think one thing I would say is, we have to make sure whatever we do isn't just a workload generator and a paper generator. That there has to be some teeth behind enforcing it. And, once the guard at the gate that was checking the stickers wouldn't let you in, it was gone. The thing lost its teeth, other than parking at the beach or the boat ramp area, is that if we're gonna go to a sticker to all cars, what do we have to enforce it? And, something that you potentially could do in some capacity is, if we keep track, if the owner hasn't come in and, gotten the new stickers as of X date, shut the gate cards off, shut the gate off.
Well, 70% is better than,
Uh,
I think 70%, that's, almost 3/4 of the people here would probably get a sticker. And if we communicate that it is for security purposes, for registering of cars so that we know what cars go with what sticker, I mean, I think 100% of people would be for that.
And in that aspect, I have no problem with it being back to being $2 a sticker for that one, but as far as like beach parking, since people are so adamant about it, keep the same stickers we got, just find a different one for the lifetime one. For people
So
to,
just enforce,
Let's not
what
say
is
lifetime,
the
in case
beach
we change
problem?
it.
I mean, what is really the
Park-
beach problem?
parking,
Residents want to be able to park at the beach parking lot,
Okay,
okay? The residents pay.
so could you have
they pay
a
for it, they want
resident colored sticker and it's still
I'd say.
$2 to
just keep the ones we got.
$5, $2 to $5 or whatever, and that you can renew them every year.
we already bought.
They're
we
purple
already-
now.
Mhm.
Purple
I
now.
think what color's next year? You already bought.
Green.
Green, so, that one could change.
The cost of this vehicle sticker, though, every car that needs to come to that gate, so if we own 6 cars, then we need 6 stickers, right? We should also then fund the RFID. So I forget it that we don't have it funded yet, but if we have money to get it going, we're gonna continue to be funded through the cost of those stickers every year, and then that will be part of the security that we tried to get, the $25 a year assessment fee for. So it can be bundled into this. That was kind of some of the conversation with the beach parking, that, okay, then those funds would help the amenities at the beach. And therefore, those people that wanted to be at the beach did want to see a rent station, did want to see all these things that we never have enough money for. So the idea was, okay, if you're really that committed to the beach and you want to see those things, are you willing to pay the sticker price for it? And the $25 hang tag to per household, right, for the guests? Because that was the other piece. If guests are going to be down here and they're going to be using our amenities, then please help us support the amenity and keep it up to snuff. And that's the conversation that happens regarding the beach parking. So if we move that whole conversation to every vehicle, then we don't really need a beach thing, I don't think. I don't know if we do, different color would help. But
Is that if you want to be able to say, look, I'm just throwing ideas, say it's $2 for everybody to register your car and you have the green sticker. If you want to be able to have preferred parking at the beach, maybe you get a yellow one, but it's $5. But $25 I just thought was outrageous to ask people. But at the time,
Yeah. I mean, that's what came.
just $2 is not.
yeah, well,
So it'd be two different, you can do a bunch of
$5.
different RFID stickers, 2 colors.
You might be able to get 2 levels of.
Why not just buy one RFID and it serves the purpose for everything and put enough money in it to cover everything?
Problem is though, is if somebody's down there with other guests.
We're making it way too difficult. It seems like we're kind of falling back to where we started in the first place. Where all this came out of it. I agree with what Jonathan's saying all along. So what if somebody doesn't buy a sticker? There's no consequence at all for not buying.
Well, 2, there's one, no reporting of it, and 2, there's no fine for it.
There's no consequence. So, I mean, punishing people is, that's why I kind of switched gears. And some of the frequent beachgoers said, look, we'll pay a premium if we can park down there. But you have other people who say, I don't go to the beach very often. When I do, I can't park there. Or I have guests and I can't park there. And so, you know, it's going to be difficult to make everyone happy. And we need to really think about more about security and figure out what's going to be the solution for security long-term, and then work this parking thing into that long-term.
Maybe keep the
solution.
parking and the sticker thing separate. So in your situation, you want to see just kind of like a team sticker, right? Well, upon paid assessments, a month after it's been paid, if we can just trigger out and just mail out a free sticker for people. Instead of having it bought, just basically a paid assessments paid, current 23, something silly, or pick it up from the office.
the stickers cost
We want
like
to cut the mail.
$1.
We want to cut the mail.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm saying you could pick it up from the office, whatever the case may be, but that would be a free sticker that's just Team Raintree, current assessments as of 2023.
And you register your car.
Right.
So that you know which car is supposed to have the sticker or whatever.
Another point of it was because of how many people break the gate too.
If you don't have the license plate information, you can't.
That was a
Yeah.
big reason of why I wanted people having their cars registered.
The same people that break the gate are the ones that not registering their vehicles though.
All right.
Yes, and it's probably not gonna happen by the 30th, but Dave, you're the IT coach or the security co-chair, right? Can Glenn and you and whoever else wants to be involved, let's bring this RFID information back and close it out, because there's things about, maybe it won't work because it might let 3 cars behind you in too. Or if you're 3 cars behind, it might open the gate for somebody in front of you that doesn't have it. Because at least that way, if we were to do RFID, it doesn't have to be a moneymaker. It can be look, you buy the sticker, the other thing is, if your kids frequently come out here, if you want to register your kid's vehicle, you get an RFID for it. But whatever it costs us for
Pretty
them
much
is what we
just
do.
pays for itself.
And then we turn it on and, we turn them on and off each year, just like the gate card. You don't pay your assessment, the RFID gets killed. Other than the first two on the account, from it for the gate, it now opens the gate. And see if we can close it out, because that way you've got enforcement behind what it is we're doing. And because I also think a big gap we have here today is, all right, I got 10 gate cards. I think I know where the 10 are, but I'm not going to stand here and swear to it. And, and I don't know if the people who have those gate cards that are in my name gave it to somebody else that gave it to somebody else. And, who the heck knows, what's going on here. We don't have any information on those cars. If we had RFID, it's like I'd get them for my kids who come out here frequently,
Right?
type thing. So I think that one, at least if we're gonna do something, it has a built-in consequence, if you will, in that if you don't buy it, the gate cards are gonna be obsoleted with this, and this is how you get in with the guest gate. Yes, it identifies a specific vehicle.
I mean-
Maybe there's enough information in it that if you pay the higher amount, it can tell whether or not it's, I'm making this up, but maybe it's got enough technology behind it that if you paid the $25 for the owner parking at the beach, Sherry could run around with the scanner or her phone and scan them. It'll tell her, if the RFID is good to go or not. But I mean, there's some gather gaps. It's like, what if I hand my RFID to Forrest? Will it let Forrest in if they didn't stick it to the windshield? Is there a way to know that they're not?
Well, I'm sure there's technology to back all that up, but I'm nervous about, first and foremost, it is a common knowledge that living in a gated community is an inconvenience to property owners. It's even a larger inconvenience to our guests. I'm nervous about giving RFIDs out, and I got 5 kids and husbands with all of them, that another 10 RFIDs are sitting out there, and I decide to move, they're not coming down here no more with me, that's for sure. Then you got 10, everybody's, who's gonna keep track of all that nightmare?
Don't re-register the vehicle the next year. If you don't
I would say,
re-register
I
it the
mean-
next year,
When you move,
turn it off.
Right, but it's still far better than a sticker that we have to monitor manually. That to
Oh,
me
yeah,
is
there's
just
no doubt.
unsustainable. It's just not possible.
I mean, I can contact that company that, I think there was 2 or 3 that we got bids from. Do you remember what the cost was? Was it per gate or?
You gotta, I think they have to put a long range reader on it and the software into the existing gate. Then it's just a matter of getting the tags and the system behind it. But I
So
thought
John,
it
I
was-
like your idea of just re-looking at it. Let's just open the
Can you
project.
give us,
and-
Desiree, can you give us a little bit of time to bring this to the table and see if we figure out that it's not doable, you know what, then we look at going the other route with something else in the meantime. I'd say, let's not call it lifetime though, because if we say it's lifetime and we change to something else, then somebody's gonna,
I think they wouldn't have to keep buying them.
right, yeah, until we come up with something different, you don't have to buy it, or year after year, or maybe we can figure out how to just to give it to them if they
I know
register.
you guys said renew this with their registration, but why not just make them good for 1 year? And if they come up and renew it, just like you do your driver's license or license plates, and you reactivate it, that way it cleans up anything that has moved out or doesn't live here. Kids are no longer around, so
Trade the thought.
Yeah, I mean,
I like a yearly.
I don't like a one-time fee and then never having to pay it again, because they're still gonna have the maintenance in the office. We're still gonna be dealing with buying new RFIDs and.
Yep.
I think you renew it every year at minimal cost. You pay a little bit more upfront to get it put on, cover the cost and
The
office
renewal
labor,
is the activation.
right?
Keep the activation going.
Expires every year, just like your driver's or license plates.
And that plays better into the security.
Mhm.
And it cleans up stagnant RFIDs.
Yeah.
And it'll also close the gap as you shut down the existing gate
Right.
guards.
Glenn, I'll forward you the information I got from the vendors that we looked at initially.
I found it in the house.
We can reach out to Dan Oslinski too, because I think he's one that
He was.
was involved with the bid on it.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're kind of discussing what the technology committees will be hopefully gonna do, and then they present everything to you at one time, so nothing to be discussed here.
Perfect.
We'll be bringing you and Dan in, believe it.
All right, so we will continue that as an ongoing unfinished business item. We'll put it back on the agenda every month until we resolve it or throw it out. All right, Halloween around Spring Lake. I don't know. I mean, this is just something we've seen on Nextdoor or Facebook and
And there were some comments but that we got as to, why is it only around Vista Drive, and could we do it around Spring Lake too? And so just thought we'd bring it up here.
yes, ma'am,
It's easy
Nancy.
enough to stick it in the communication.
I think, my personal opinion, that was a mistake to say that Halloween is only around West Vista. It's anywhere. It's just that West Vista puts the signs up because 99% of the kids will do that. There's kids that go over on the other lake also, just not the big gigantic quantity.
Right, yeah.
So I think it was just a misspeaking of words, the way that was worded, and they took it and ran.
I think that misspeak has been there for like 3 years, because we just copied the same thing, year to year to
Yeah,
year.
but we don't prevent anybody from trick or treating anywhere.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
logistically, it would make more sense to do it on Spring Lake. You can just
There's
try
less homes,
less homes, and it's a one-way. There is no loop.
true. Harder loop.
Well,
Got to go on a couple streets to make the loop, but,
yeah,
so, has anybody got any opposition to in the next year's communication that can be on Spring Lake? Mhm.
Roads one way also, because you'll have to do it traffic.
Probably.
Yeah, we're not like sponsoring anything around Spring Lake, but we would assist with the one-way driving if need be. They can. Oh, we wouldn't stop it on the big lake. We would just,
Put as much emphasis on like Spring Lake, and just say that, that's just happens to be where the majority of it is, but.
I asked neighbors and they said, we just have our lights off if we don't have money. We're not having candy or whatever.
So no, we
And it's
first looked
pretty
through it,
dark.
we thought
on
it was
our
just
lake.
around.
It's, yeah. I think that was one of
well, they were talking
the,
about putting lights in the front yard or something.
yeah, there was, we have some culverts that are not, I mean, if you don't know where you're going and stuff like that. Somebody could end up in a ditch
A
or
real
whatever.
Halloween then.
Yeah, we could. So I just think maybe if we just say, Braintree is an open community for all hot trick or treaters. We do have the big thing, but you can go to any houses that you would like to have a porch light
The
on.
events committee, they could put it like the Cruise and Rain Tree thing and just put like spotlight people's houses too, if they wanted to do that.
If you make it more one-way sides, you'd have to put a.
Yeah, I don't think there would be. I mean, I've been here 5 years. I've had 3 trick or treaters in 5 years.
But why don't we just play it by ear and see if it gains some momentum? If it does, we'll work with whoever's bringing it up.
You know, we're talking about things one way here and here.
Yep.
I think we got enough signs.
There's never been a rule as to that you couldn't go
Yeah,
on the other lake, or you couldn't go to your neighbors up in the hills.
I think we just
Convenient,
make
so
a-
it's done.
make a notice and just say you can go anywhere you want.
Looking at it and
It's
change.
not always sponsored.
Yeah,
right.
It's
You
probably.
got the reputation years ago that people on the big lake ended up baking.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's why I feel like this.
Oh,
I had- It's 12 different games, all in one little bag, and the kids thought the house was wonderful.
All right, enough about Halloween. We were handed a ballot item suggestion, which personally I think is absolutely brilliant. But I will,
Also emailed. to
it
all of
was, it came from some subdivisions that I had actually reached out to this person if they're in Florida. And I'll try to highlight it the best I can, but it's a special assessment, which I think we would include it in a regular assessment, eventually get it voted on and put in the covenants, but a special assessment to be paid by anyone buying property in Raintree, 1% of the property to be paid at closing. So first and foremost, it doesn't cost any of us anything, not a dime. There's no out-of-pocket expense to us. So when a home sells for 400,000, the buyer pays a 4,000 special assessment to Raintree directly, outside of any other construction cost or road cost or buy-in here, anything. A 1%. If a lot sells for $400, we get $4. If a house sells for 400,000, all this is collected at the title companies and they mail us a check. There's some numbers in here. If you guys grabbed any of this, it says, one of the statements was made that he's been at Raintree for over 20 years. Every year we're asking to pay a larger assessment every year. Some homeowners may say yes, some may say no. Lot owners by and large say no. They come out a couple times a year to boat or swim at the beach. We must have more money to maintain our community property. So one thing this does is almost 100% guarantees, and I say almost, would guarantee ever another assessment need or a COLA. Because the numbers that are put in here, you figure, I don't know how many homes buy and sell in here every year, but his recommendation was 30 homes built or sold. And an average price of 500,000 gets you a special assessment of 600,000, new homes being built 150,000, and if any lots are sold 36,000. That's an additional $786,000 on top of our current assessments. And that's given 30, I don't know how many homes were sold in Raintree last year, Nick, how many were built? Ballpark.
18.
So 18 homes is, those are some big numbers to really get this subdivision in the right direction. And again, it's nothing out of the people that live here's pocket unless you buy another house in here.
How about if you sell your house
It'd be a negotiating tool.
and then the buyer is, the guy that buys my house is gonna pay that?
Right.
Which means that's gonna be a negotiating tool in the process. And I might have to.
I would say, yeah, the 1% charge, I don't know that it's to the buyer, because everything's negotiable. Real estate, just a 1% transaction fee for any property that is changes hands.
It sounds great, but
Then
I think about what happens if, okay, the market really goes down and we have trouble selling our house and now we've got this 1% extra, you don't know. I don't know.
You get a special assessment on a private sale of a home?
Yeah, is that legal?
That,
I think they were paying $4,000 and they've never even stepped foot in here.
right.
No, but if you think about the people that buy lots too, they come in here expecting the amenities and everything, and they don't want to pay very much too. So at the same time, if they're gonna be paying into this year when they buy their land, they're also at the same time investing in what we already have here too, keeping it going for what it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, the thought was more, I mean, another terminology he used was special assessment, but it
Yeah, I
was
think
more of, this is a private community. And if you're going to buy into this private community, there is a 1% buy-in fee. Yeah, whether it's a piece of property, if you buy a piece of property and then you build a house, well, then you can deduct the property cost from, you know, what it cost you to build the home and what that document says, and then you pay on the house if it's a sale of an existing home. But, you know, to Stephen Tilley's point, I mean, yes, in a perfect world, it would come out of no homeowner's pocket. In a tough negotiation for whatever reason, you know, the buyer could say, it's like, I'm not buying this without, you know, you splitting it, you paying it, you know, I'm not paying this fee, whatever the case might be. So yes, I mean, it could, in a not so perfect scenario, end up being your expense.
Would it only be when a piece of property changes hands? What if someone buys a lot and they pay their 1%, and then 2 years later they build a house on it?
They pay the 1% on the house, but not on the lot
Because
again.
it's new construction.
Right.
I mean, how do we? So if somebody adds a boathouse, do they pay 1% again? If someone upgrades their home or enlarges their home?
I mean, I guess if they
You're
put
gonna have-
if they put a boathouse on. the
I would
lot,
say a boathouse or a home or a detached garage,
It's more of
anything.
a tax at
I
that point.
guess
It's
I'm
not even a
confused
special
about that
assessment.
because I think we have to define exactly.
Right. I mean, and I asked for the verbiage from the subdivisions that are using it currently. One subdivision pays $28 a month in assessments. The other one pays $230. The one I am in does not use this format, and I pay $900 a month.
I think it's a great idea for revenue generation and,
Give me your credit card, I'll swipe that baby,
I don't think they-
900 a month every entry.
You own your property or is it a condo?
I do not own it. I
Right.
own the house, but I don't own the land.
Right. You have more control over that. This is private property, technically.
Well, these other ones are too.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, the one I'm in is not.
Hey, we wanted to take a look. at
I
it.
just wanted to bring it up. It was brought to us as a ballot item suggestion. I personally think, I mean, if you say there's a 1% due on it, then it's always gonna land on the people that live here. And our point we're trying to make here is if we do something like this, and maybe we do make it a tax or something, you know, that you don't know, it has to come from the buyer versus negotiating it down, your price down, but
One of the things we also gotta consider with this thing is somehow it will have to be tabbed an assessment. Because if his piece is correct, then it would generate $786,000. If it's not an assessment, it will cause all of our revenue to be taxable then. Because it's far more than the allotted.
the other thing that we could put a caveat on it is if, like you were saying, it's a bad year and we don't sell any houses or build any houses. We could say that if this assessment is larger than what the COLA would be on the amount of people that live here, then there's no COLA that year. But if it is less, like in a downturn, but technically you have to sell 3 houses to accumulate what this would generate. And even in a bad year, I think that happens. It's just something to think about. Obviously, everybody's got to vote on it. We got to get the right language in there, but I asked for the language. I'm actually going to visit with them on next Friday. So I'm going to see if I can't get a copy of their indentures and bring it to,
We'll put this on unfinished business
yeah,
next month.
definitely.
And then we can, because the one thing too, that once you get that information, if we want to consider putting this as a ballot item, I think Ted needs to tell us if it's legal or not and how to phrase it. You know, so we don't get into any hot water.
Alrighty, so next thing is, this was brought to my attention, real estate agents want to bring back Sunday 1 to 3 PM gates open for open houses. No,
I'll say no.
I'd say no. I mean, we took it away because, you know, every county around us knew when the open houses happened. And if you looked at the history of the censures and the problems, complaints, it spiked those days. Boats on the lakes, cars parked where they don't belong, gates being broken. I mean,
Have you accepted to a Thursday at 5, from 5 to 7?
open houses October to March.
Well, I guess the one thing I'd look at too is that, I mean, I don't really ever remember seeing a real estate agent holding a true open house
Well,
and
there were.
advertise. But it was more like open the place up so whoever could just drive around here and see whatever
Oh,
they
right.
wanted. It wasn't like, Kent, your house is for sale and there is a specific open house going on that day. But, you know, every listing agent has a code that they can get their clients in here with. You know, there's gotta be, what, a dozen or more realtors that live here. They have a guest gate code that they could get whoever they want in here. And you know, I'm just thinking with our security headaches we have right now, I don't think that there's any just reason to open the gates.
Yeah,
I would agree.
that in order to come look at our house, and it had a positive effect on me. I thought, wow, this seems like a more secure neighborhood or community as a result. And so I think given our current security situation, I don't think this is a good idea.
What might that be? Our current,
Security situation. No, I said situation. It's not-
the lack of one, right?
I don't think we have a very.
So unless somebody brings it back up, I mean, I'll take a vote, just a straw vote. Anybody willing to open the gates on Sundays 1 to 3? Nope, nope. All right. If somebody can bring a better solution to us, that is done for.
There wasn't open. The Lammerts were thinking about their house, and they actually had an agent up here with a card, and they were letting people in. So there's ways around it. It's not like it's for limiting them from having an open house or
Yep.
carrying on their business.
Well, whoever has the house listed, they can get a code from the office and then they can give that to whatever real estate agent they are using to show their house. If it's just a matter of people wanting to drive in and go look around at a house because you don't want to do an open house, then they gotta be with them. All right, automated ballot counting system. We got an email and Tilly, you did some research, and so we think we have at least come up with a couple scenarios where we can, for minimal expense, get an automated ballot counting system, either with a barcode scanning, or what was the one? Scantron. So that would eliminate the 6 hours of counting on one whole Sunday a year.
Well, I talked to,
But it'll be-
Scantron company, and I was trying to figure out how, you know, you think about how you did test. You have A, B, C, D, E, and I said, so I ended up calling, because I had the Scantron in my car. Hillsborough already gave it to me and said, you can use it as much as you want. They gave me the forms, and I started looking at it, and the teacher in me came out, and I'm like, how do we write up the ballots so that we know how many? And so I had some ideas, talked to the people there, and basically we would have to buy ballots, and the ballots would be numbered 1 to 100, so you could have 100 items that you are contemplating, and then you have a tally sheet, so you'd have to pay for that. So it's about $100. But what it would do is we would have to make the ballot say things like, let's just say you're voting for John Smith. John Smith is number 1, and Tilly Winchester would be number 2, and Dave would be number 3, and you vote according to that number, and then I can tally it by what number you gave, rather than an ABCD, because I was thinking, how do we do this if we have 6 people going for the board and we give them a number, but you use a different form? So it's very doable, but we would have to have like a master of like what number ones would be. What does 1 represent? Dave Woldridge. What does a 2 represent? John Will, you know, whatever. And we would have to have that.
I mean,
It would-
running again?
What if we did electronic?
She's
Yeah.
being facetious.
What if we did electronic ballots on, and just supply iPads? We just have a electronic sheet.
Well, that
Then you
can
could-
go into some of this
Okay.
this research as
Yeah.
well, because
You could
one of
look at
the
that.
companies
I've never been-
Tantalin sent to me was that you gotta get a scanner, which I think the printer we have, scanner will suffice. And you just gotta get the software, and it was fairly inexpensive, and I don't know, it'd either be a computer or an iPad or something like that.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sure there's a way you can just do like a PDF fillable form, and then when you end it, it just be a form basically, and it should be able to tally it itself. I'm sure there's something out there for that.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a good idea. It eliminates errors and then stress, and everybody's sitting up here for 6
So
hours.
is Tantalin gonna give you something? Is
I
that-
got something. I thought I shared it with
Yeah,
everybody, didn't I?
that, what she's, so.
Maybe I get her to come up here and see if she can
That'd be
give us a
beautiful.
presentation or something, or the company that she's referred. There were two of them. The one looked a little better than the other that I went through.
Well, the other thing is,
Is that part of the IT side? Okay,
Mhm.
the other one I was thinking,
we might have a 10th board member here pretty soon.
the other way I was thinking is that, I'm pretty sure that when we get to this point that, when Ted was out here overseeing this election counting.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
that's a
this stuff,
no-brainer.
I think the bill was $2,208. So, so if it's $100 for Scantron and it'll work, I think most people understand to fill the bubble in. It's like,
You can get less than.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, we'll continue to research
So-
that, and John, I'll get you in contact with that information, and you can work with me and Glenn on it.
We'll give Tilly the. Cause Tilly knows the Scantron.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
Scantron, yeah.
I mean, we got it in hand, so I'd almost think run Scantron through and see if it works before we.
Why don't we
Go
do like
chase
a
the others
mini
one down.
ballot or something that we can just run between?
That's what I thought. I thought, it's $76 for the ballot sheets, and then it's $23 for the tally sheet. And at the tally sheet, you'd only need one, so that would last you. I think they come in packets of 50. And then the ballot sheets were, I think it was 100, and it was $76 for the ballot
So
sheet.
does this count the votes or
Mhm.
whatever, the tallies, and then you just write them down on this tally sheet?
Well, no, what I do is I scan it through, goes through, and it will count up how many ones have a vote, how many twos. And so if we had a ballot item, you can have 4 dogs, yes or no. We would give it a number. A yes would be number 53, a no would be 54. So you have to know what the number is, and you vote for what it is, and then it would tally up how many 53s there are, how many, and we could. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds a little bit, if you're not it sounds pretty simple, but we'd have to word the ballots. And, yeah,
Thanks, since the
I'm gonna
school
see if I can
gave us-
I'm gonna see if I get samples. I'm gonna ask, can I have a sample and just try it and just make up a mock and see how it works?
Just
Thanks,
Okay.
Scantron's the company, right?
Scantron's the
Maybe
company.
we call them and ask them for a sample or something.
That's who I talked to right before the board
Okay.
meeting. Yeah, and he was telling me how that the sheet they gave us, he said that would work. Cause it had A through E. And he said, yeah, you can't tally that. You can say what's wrong. So if you want certain people to be voted on, you could put them as the correct answer. I go, well, that wouldn't go over well.
All right, last thing in new business is the treasurer's report to suspend all gate cards on delinquent accounts. So
Even the first two?
that was under, I talked to Ted about it. He said he has not done any research on that. And he said it probably could be done, but as soon as you run into some old lady that falls down Column Drive, that you're gonna be in front of a judge and he's gonna feel sorry for her versus us. So I talked to John about it. I don't know if it's even worth going down, spending the money to research that.
So we're talking a difference between suspending everything but the first two.
Extra, yeah. What this was to discuss was to suspend everything. But he hasn't done any research on it, and I don't know if it's worth spending the money to have him research it.
Do we know, like our delinquent accounts, do we know lot owners versus property owners?
It's way lopsided.
Mostly lot owners.
Are delinquent versus homeowners. There are some homeowners in there that are delinquent, but it's, you know, have not done the math, but it's probably like 90-10 that are lots.
But if
versus
why do we
homeowners.
care about shutting their cards off? They're gonna go to collections anyway.
Gets them a little quicker.
Well, part of the issue. you gotta-
Guarantee you next year they won't complain on Facebook.
Part of the issue with the collection stuff is that more and more of the attorneys are backing off of contingency work. So as an example, somebody doesn't pay their lot, it's $226. You want the attorney to send them the first stage of the warning letter, we gotta pay $200. If he collects, we'll get the 200 back. If he can't collect, we just spent $200 to try to collect 226. So I think we want to exhaust, you know,
Yeah.
what options we can first of that. And then if, you know, I mean, heck, if they got to take them to court, you know, I mean, it's not going to be a 1-year delinquent that we're going to take somebody to court over. It's going to have to be multiple years, or, you know, if the attorney can't collect, you're throwing good money to chase bad.
Well, if it's on a home, there's always a lien,
Right.
and we'll get our money one way or the other.
And I'll go through what's happening with the liens in a couple of minutes here. So,
So as of right now, it's status quo. We're leaving the first 2 cards on and everything else will get shut off.
I mean, for property owners, is there a reason to not shut everything down?
Not really,
They
but
have a house to get to.
Right, there's no reason for you to be here if you haven't paid. So I mean, for a property owner, you can shut down every card, and then you can make 1 card available for a homeowner or something from an egress standpoint, then they get back to their house, but they're not gonna use it for, you know, just send the message, I guess. There's no reason if you're a property owner and haven't paid that your card should still work.
I think that's what Ted was telling Dave, that, you know, he doesn't know that hasn't researched it. Do we want to spend the money to have him research it
You'll still have access to your house, it's gonna become significantly less convenient.
by foot? or bike?
Well, you'd have 1 card available and your guests and you call yourself in.
Well, we already disbanding all the cards under 2 over the first 2, and we disbanded the guest gate form. Those are amenities that you haven't paid for, so you still can have the primary 2 cards get through the gate to get to your house.
Yeah, that's good.
And then they're also tagged, so they can't buy anything either. So
I will tell you that if I don't pay for my assessment in Florida, which the average age is 80, and they probably don't want to walk to any house, they pay it. So I know it's legal. It's just whether or not it would have to read into our covenants and what we got in there, but it is legal to do.
Next door that is, because we have shut off their pay cards and their kiosk numbers.
but not the first 2. If they own a home here, the first 2 cards issued on the
She said
account.
that none of her cards work.
Well, the other thing, if you looked at that post, they all said that they paid their assessment. I looked every one of them up. No, they didn't. And
I don't know anything
and
about that.
the other thing we're talking about here is this happened November 15th. The assessment was due July 1st. It's 5.5 months later,
Right.
and they haven't paid their assessment or figured out they didn't pay the assessment. And now, you know, it's a blow up on
No, I
social media.
understand why
So
it was done, but I just,
Oh.
I didn't know.
Well, no, we did. We left the first 2 on, but what could have happened is they might have got 4, 6, or 8 cards and they passed them out like cards, and then they didn't get the first 2, so now they can't get in. So, I mean, I don't know if I got the first 2 cards in my batch either.
Maybe she gave one of her cards to Aunt Jenny,
Somebody else
and Kenny's actually got one of the first 2 cards.
Mike?
Yeah, technology question for that.
Yes.
And the gate, if it sees somebody swipe in who is delinquent or getting close to that date,
and then alert them, send them an email or the office, something to,
The other system we could have bought might have, but this system I don't think has that ability. I don't know, well, you know what? You guys, oh, that's the camera system. I don't know what the access control is. Does anybody know what system that is up here? John, do you know? I know WatchGuard can do that if you like that's just the cameras. Yeah, but that don't do the gate access though. What the heck was the name of it? I can't think of the name. It may have it, especially if it's cloud-based. Do you know if it's cloud-based? So it might be able to do that. We could look into that. You keep a note of all this?
Oh, Wendy, don't they get like 4 or 5 notices? I mean, they get contacted every month or whatever, so they know
They don't get contact every month. They get the invoice in the latter part of May. If they haven't paid it by August, or by July 1st, they get a late notice. And then we didn't move as fast as hoped, but in future years, they will get the lien warning letter September 1st. And the cards will be shut off in September. So we were just trying to figure out, you know, through the election and everything, did we want to go the lien route? Did we want to, you know, on this process or not? Because we did run across a couple items where if we had liens on the accounts, we might have got some money where otherwise we didn't. So, you know, we took a little bit of time to determine what we wanted to do on it, and city doesn't go straight to a lien. You give them a lien warning letter, then you do the lien. So that's where we're at now. But you know, I think in future years it will go bing, bing, bing 3 months in a row. So we won't be where we're at. But we did, these folks before the cards got shut off, did get a lien warning letter sent. And we did put it in the Raintree Roundup that this was happening. So if people, we know people aren't registering their emails to get the information. If you haven't got a registered email, register. Okay, because if you're not registered, you're missing critical information that you need to get about being an owner at Raintree. Don't know the count. I know the total count. 399. 399, that's total owners. But that's not a breakdown between lot and property, so.
yeah.
Regardless, that's a lot of money. That's not buying security equipment.
Yep.
All right, treasurer's report and presentation of bills.
All right, we'll do the presentation of bills first on the monthly check report. Pretty much standard stuff in here other than, it's got, 3, attorney bills in here, check 3307, 3311, 3313. These all tie into, the review of the ballot items, the review of the ballot and, the meeting, his time out here to oversee, the election. The other one that I want to point out is 3324 Devereaux and Company. That is the fee for our annual tax filing and certification of our books for calendar year 2022. And then Kent and Wendy, one of the questions I had is 3328. Now that it's mid-November, are these porta potties out of here for the winter time?
I heard they were.
I heard they were here.
Okay.
Door King,
Very much going on.
access control.
Yeah, you were pointing to me.
So that's what I wanted to point out. Does anybody have any questions on the check report?
Nope.
Okay, On the finance report. If you poked me in the ribs yesterday, this is 45 pages long. Get ready. No, it is not. So available in the lobby, and they will be online after the meeting, are the profit and loss statement and balance sheets. I'm not going to review each one of these, so if anybody has any questions, let me know on those. It's nothing out of the ordinary that I saw in any of them. From there, we continue to work this month going through cleaning up the bad debts. When this is completed, it'll provide a much clearer and truer accounts receivable figure. This was something that was also noted by the CPA in the annual review. I want to thank Lori Haller for continued efforts with their finance team to help with this. On it, the dredging fund I brought up last month, I wasn't certain that the allocation for it was done. It wasn't, but we did it. So there is, I don't have the exact number in the dredging fund, but I think it's $17,000 and some odd change now.
So it's like over the next year then?
Yeah, it'll just continue to sit.
769.
Hey, this is why you got half my packet.
Do
over
I?
there, think.
Oh, do I?
You had two balance sheets and one.
Do I? Okay.
But, okay, but that is now updated and that continues and it's funded every year, similar to the ICF fund. For the month of October, we collected an additional 12,162 assessment related revenues from through city. City's fee on that collection was $166. Year to date, we've collected $636,010 in assessment related payments. And city's total fee year to date's $8,818. We have, as of today, $58,900 sitting in the city escrow account. And that will be utilized once we activate the bill payment service with Rever. As of November 3rd, there were 399 delinquent owners totaling $263,590 owed to Raintree and assessment related activities. In the collection efforts, November 3rd's delinquent report was used to deactivate gate cards and gate codes. Remember, the assessments were due July 1st. This was communicated in the October Raintree roundup. Lien warning letters were sent out late October with 30 days to pay. If they haven't paid after 30 days, $115 lien fee will be added to the delinquent accounts and the formal liens will be filed with the county. The step after that would be the collection attorney on these. And then finally, for all of the board members, last year we decided to transition the budget to a calendar year instead of doing it from July through June. It matches up to our tax year. It also will allow us through these reports to be able to see a true year to date as to where our money is spent and what's left over from that. So see how we're creeping up on the end of the year. You have in your packet a profit and loss statement that says budget versus actual. This is the 6-month budget, but it includes all the items that you have in your areas. So if this also applies to the office, I know Tom's not here, so Steve, if you can get to him, if there's any changes that they need or any items that you want to be considered for the budget, we need them by December 20th. We will do a review of a preliminary budget without those changes at December's board meeting, and we'll finalize the budget in January. So, you know, if there is, as an example, if we're going to buy anything with scanning, Steve, if there's any big RVN projects, Kent, if there's anything from Lakes and Beaches, few things, Wendy, if there's anything that we need with the office, Tom, for maintenance, Glenn for security. If there's anything we need to look at, if you know of any rate changes that are gonna happen, those are all things that we need to layer into it. Otherwise, the budget, so for all of you who are new, is we will run a report of the actual spend that we've had from December of last year through November of this year, and that'll become the baseline for the budget, and then we'll layer the adjustments into it. I can tell you that the 6-month budget was, even though it shows balanced here, it was plugged. It's actually $13,200 in the red. So depending on how our collection efforts go will be how we look overall with the budget for any additional spending. Then one other thing I wanted to address, some folks told me that there were some comments out in social media regarding city and village, and that we do not need city and village in Raintree, and the board's not best utilizing money. So I just want to go back, set the record straight here. This was all communicated, and I won't say all of it, but the reason.
Before you go on, are we still in the treasurer's report
we
or?
are,
Okay,
all right, so in early 2022, the board had agreed with the office to hire a 4th office employee. Community has grown over the years and the workload's increased. The second board of 2022 made a decision to contract with City and Village based in part on these following items. Wendy can attest to that she's asked the board over periods of time that she needed additional support. And we've also, Dave's mentioned it at multiple board meetings. So up to August of 2022, there were 3 unsuccessful attempts to hire and retain the 4th employee for Raintree's office. During that period of time, the overall labor market's been difficult. The efforts in hiring and retaining the 4th employee were not what was expected, and had not provided the results we require for Raintree. The cost of city and village services is approximately 38% of the cost of the 4th employee, including payroll taxes. So this is a savings to Raintree. There was a 4th employee and now there's not. The Raintree office team remains at 3 associates. There's no plans for a 4th. Cash payments that were reported to the board as being paid, but they weren't posted. Ultimately, this turned out to be a delay and no money was missing, although it was certainly a cause of concern for the POA board and those who were involved in this. And we are actually almost done with we'll be moving away from cash payments entirely for Raintree. Owners waited in long lines at the POA office to pay their assessments. We have a single line window here. Can't deal with multiples at a time. Many owners reported to the board that their checks went uncashed for a month or longer. And at the August 2022 board meeting, the treasurer at the time reported there were approximately $270,000 in undeposited payments in the office. These were clear signs to the board that a better solution was needed for Raintree assessment processing based on the savings versus a 4th employee. The third board of 2022 unanimously voted to implement City and Village. Without City and Village, there absolutely would be a 4th employee in Raintree. And owners would see that the labor that we're spending was higher. City and Village does maintain an escrow account for Raintree. The Raintree board, specifically the finance committee, determines the level of funds kept with City and Village. We target to retain 1 to 2 months of bill payments in escrow. Raintree controls the escrow funds and has full control over them. That's it.
can we even read that?
Got glasses. dude.
God. All right, we need a motion to approve it.
All right.
Treasurer's report.
Motion to approve. I make a I can't motion it myself, can
No.
I? All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
for the presentation of bills.
I will second that. Any discussion? So I can't read it. All in favor of the approval of the treasurer's report and presentation of bills signify with an eye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
I just read it to you. Why I need to read it?
Communications reports.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you just an overview. We had the Rain Tree Volunteer Network working very hard, and I'll let Steve talk about that. We had the Halloween night on Vista. I think it went well, except for the signs had the wrong times. So we made mental note to that. I think the sign said 6 to 9 and we had 5 to 10 was the communication. So that was my bad. I take full responsibility on that. So,
I checked with Dave on that before I did that.
yeah. Oh, well, yeah, it had 6 to 9, yeah. And looking back, I think it probably was a good time because that gives people time to get home from work.
Exactly.
And we didn't think about that, so that was my bad. I'll take full responsibility on that. We had the roundup, the HOA article that we do every month, and then the notices that the resumes are being accepted for our director opening to the board. We had 10 emails that were received, mostly about like the ballot automation, the benefit drive. Somebody wanted a copy of the rules manual and how to pay city and village. We had 1,129 subscribed emails. And we've been working very hard to update the website. So we're trying to update the new board members' profiles and their duties, the process of adding and a sign up for the board meetings for the property owners. So the new format that we have put out, we're trying to get that set up on the website that you can submit prior to the monthly POA board meetings. And we're working with our webmaster about putting the committee reports on the website. So that's what we've been doing.
Thank you, Tilly. All right, administration and legal. There's nothing on the legal.
Administration, there was something here, and I can't find it. Oops, okay. Entering administration, entering delinquent account information received from city and village into our system. They've been updating the property files and gate system to reflect the current data from city and village, and been preparing the year-end reports.
All right, thank you very much. Architectural.
They just, for everybody, that the entries that they're doing into this it's just a 3-letter code that when they pull up an account, they know are they delinquent or not. So that way they don't inadvertently sell them anything from it. So we're not entering a ton of info into there. So we just kind of a flag identifier thing, but
Perfect. Architectural control.
So for those of you that don't know, I am no longer going to be with the board here starting next month. My job has gotten incredibly difficult and busy, and there's just not enough time to go around. So I'm not being as productive as I possibly could here and don't want to hold anyone back. So I'm going to be the one that's going to be leaving. Forrest, we're going to take the next ACC meeting together. And then after that, I'm going to obviously be off the board at that point, but then I'll stay on it for as long as I can if I have time to be able to show you the transition. But Dave Getty and Kurt will show you the ropes, no problem. Yeah, we got a good group of guys, a good group of people, so it's a good deal.
All right, thanks, Nick. I will personally thank you for your service. You've been an asset to this board, and I appreciate everything you've done. And I especially appreciate the transition that you're doing. It doesn't happen often, and I will. Hats off to you, man. I really miss you.
Yep.
All right, lakes and beaches.
Because of the low water, it looks like we made it, wait October 27th, that it remains that way. That's not at all unusual for this time of year. Other than that, I'm still researching for different options, or if there are options for treating spring, or lake treatment period across all the lakes, including Spring Lake, what the restrictions are. I'm actually learning about the different kinds of vegetation in the different lakes, and there's a lot more to it than I have initially understood. As far as, lake treatments, so, but I've been in contact with several companies, and I feel speak to have another meeting set up for next week with the guy who treated them last year. I think he did a great job where he treated, so I'm gonna hope to find out a lot more about that. Just a few things that I'm sure that everyone may be aware of, but I, being a newcomer to this community, didn't realize that Spring Lake is actually set up to be a fishing lake. It says right on the sign, this is a fishing lake, and the Department of Conservation put different vegetation in there to enhance the fishing, et cetera. And so or we, I guess, paid for that, and it's a different situation than what I understood initially. So trying to learn more and more about aquatic vegetation and plant life, fish life, et cetera. I'm sure I'll never know it all, but I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it. How that affects this. I don't know if it's an evergreen or however our contract is with watering the golf course out of Spring Lake, but I don't think that's gonna ever change. So, I don't know if
It's in the covenant,
Well,
or no, it's
Yeah, it's in there, but the one thing that I know from my neighbors living on Spring Lake
Yeah.
is they don't want to kill the vegetation. They don't want all that stuff, just more clarity. I mean, it was pretty dirty this year for some reason, more so.
The water stain.
Yeah, the water, but I think, what I hear, they would love to have a town hall meeting for one and voice their concerns, but number two, it's called a fishing lake, but it's not stocked regularly, and they don't have fishing tournaments on it. It's all on Autumn Lake, so it's kind of like a catch-20, like it is a fishing lake, but it really isn't. And then the argument is, well, it's not a big enough lake to really have a fishing tournament. Well, then, for the most part, most of the residents there, they boat and swim, and yeah, there's some fishing, but the fish aren't very big and stuff like that. So I know that they're pretty fired up about the clarity of it. It's not so much killing. We don't, people who want the weeds, they keep it, and people who don't want it, they get out there and pull it, and stuff like that, in a sense of trying to make a way to get to the lake or whatever. Yeah, if we could, after you meet with Matt, or maybe Matt would come and talk to the residents on Spring Lake, or anybody who would want to. If that's something, I mean, yeah,
Let me chat with him again. I
right,
met with him. on something.
yeah,
the thing to clarify.
Learn as much as I can.
Right.
The thing to clarify is, even though it's a fishing lake, I've seen complaints where people want to be able to swim off their dock, so we need to either verify it is or it isn't, and if the fishing outweighs the swimming, and we gotta leave it as is. But if more people are less caring about having vegetation and fishing, then maybe we start treating it, but
and it has been treated, from what I understand, in the past. It has been treated, and they did the golf.
Wasn't, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know, there was one of our homeowners had something that it had been, so I'll try to find out.
and I think Dave said if we treat it and it's fine
A
for
company
the
will-
golf course, he's fine with allowing it,
Right.
but we can't do anything to jeopardize the golf course.
You gotta have a company that's willing to have insurance that if
What
some,
different chemicals can be used.
right, and there are some, so.
All right. Thanks, Kent. Maintenance.
Yeah, let's see, maintenance is set up for the winter. Plows are all in order, we got all the salt we're gonna need, hopefully. Trucks are all set to go. We repaired the roof damage to the pavilion, so that's taken care of. Maintenance work with the Rain Tree Volunteer Network, painting the speed bumps. We refurbished the bulletin signs. Remove the leaves from the parks. We're getting some new signs put up front. We're getting those made, and some volunteers are gonna repaint the sports for it. We got new lights put up there. So we're trying to get some things, and there's another project that they're talking about over on the forest entrance that we're looking at right now. And the big thing is the maintenance crew asks that residents please use off-street parking whenever possible when snow is imminent. So if you think there's gonna be snow, if there's any way you can get your car off the street, whatever, it really helps a lot.
All right, thank you. Desiree, rules.
Not much has really changed, just dealing with the nice weather and people letting their dogs enjoy it too without their approval. And then dealing with other people that are
You get it. Next time.
wanting their censures overturned that they didn't realize they got 6 months ago. But they got that assessment letter.
Interesting. All right, that's always an exciting committee. I skipped over the road, so I'm gonna go back to John.
No money, no update.
All that arguing for nothing? Security, Glenn, you wanna read it or you want me to read it or?
You don't have to read it if it's available to everyone. Just anxious to get, relook at this RFID that I wasn't a part of the first time. Really, need to come up with a more, technology savvy solution, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will forward you the quotes I got. Some of it is included in the whole gamut of RFIDs, new gate controllers, spike strips, a stop sign, the whole works. So we'll have to peel part of it off of there, but I will
Sure.
forward that to you.
All right, and then I did get into the Amazon Key website. I don't know if you ever did that earlier.
No, they kept wanting me to be here and I could never be here when they wanted to be here.
Okay, well, I'm in the website now, and it's pretty simple. There's access history. There's 2 different vendors that have access that I assume Amazon gives access to Grubhub and ReadyFresh.
That was one of the things when we signed up with them, because I asked them if FedEx and UPS and places like that would be able to use that product, and they said that was in the works. But then when that lady started emailing me, they said they were gonna start approving vendors, so I guess probably background checks and whatnot are being done, but there will be other vendors added to that.
Right, okay, and then just FYI, we can turn them on and off as needed from this site,
Oh, cool.
vendor by vendor.
So if we get a bad pizza, we flip it off.
Exactly, yep. Thanks.
All righty, I think that is all the committees. One last time, I'd like to thank Nick for his time on the board and everything he's done. So I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Okay, I make the motion for adjournment. You second, any discussion? All in favor signify with an aye. All opposed? Motion passes, meeting adjourned. All right, Linda.
I don't have a plan at this time. I looked at some of the quotes we got from last year. It's already exceed the amount of money needed for it, so you could probably save a lot of different things. I think there are some other considerations. One thing kind of kicked around was, what if the red station was over on the other side of the road? There's electric and water, et cetera, but I don't know how well that would go. I don't know.
You don't know
know how well that would go with beachgoers. They have to go
Right,
over
because
there.
they'd have to cross the street. to
Would they
get
be
to-
willing to cross the road? What that?
But it kind of defeats the purpose of having a race station. You gotta walk across the road to rinse off.
Yeah, but if we have to cut the road. And with the new pad and stuff, it's logistically it's going to, but I'm looking into it option.
Have you taken here a prior suggestion about is there one that you can take water from the lake to not have it? Yeah.
Yeah, I had just.
Well, there was a problem.
There
with
was a
electrical.
reason, what did we talk about?
Oh,
yeah.
you didn't want to mix electric with, I mean, if we get the water from across the street, it's Jefferson County water, so it's pressurized. So when it gets to that point, it's already pressurized. If you pull something out of the lake, you have to have an electric motor. They're a little nervous about having an electric motor right there, like
Right.
an rinse station.
Right next to the beach.
Well, I'm thinking, what do we have? I think I saw something about 17,000.
There's,
The bids way out exceeded what we.
No, but I mean, there's 14 in there right now in that fund.
I think it's
We got
roughly, the hang tag money is roughly 14,000.
And what Greg or, yeah, Rick did, it was like 24,000. Was the entire, they didn't get it all done. Whether we could pare that down a little bit, you know, because I think, you know, he was maybe thinking about, we were gonna have to pay a contractor to tear the street up and put it back down. Tom said he might be able to do a little bit, he could maybe tear it up but not put it down, or vice versa, or something like that. It's not going away, it's gonna come, we just gotta figure out how to do it.
Dave,
John, first of all, is there a possibility I can get a copy of your treasurer's report, including the statement you made about City and Village? Would that be available to us? Or can you-
they're out here on the wall, aren't they? Oh, the one you.
The treasurer report.
Anticipate now, yeah.
Our intention is, once we get the web, all the committee reports are gonna be on the website.
Your City and Village report too.
Mhm.
Because we talked about this before, on City and Village is 1.4%. They collect, is that right?
Yep.
And then we have to pay for the paper, right?
Paper
The
postage,
envelopes, the postage and the mailings. What about the delinquent?
which is the same we pay, which is the same we would pay from here if we would generate them out of here, so.
So, but I mean, so we pay that in the title company responses, the contingency for collections attorney. And then, how long from the time they collect that money from residents, does it come back to the POA? How long do they sit on it?
They don't sit on it all, it's all on us as to how
But I mean,
frequently
they
do we
collect the
tell them.
money. So they have it in their possession for about how long before it comes back here?
It depends on us. We're the ones that tell them when to send it to us. I could tell them every week to send it over to us if we wanted. So we let it, during the big collection period, money coming in June, July. We let it sit there and then we pulled a big chunk, was it, Deb, you remember, is it 410,000 or something like that? Yeah. Memory's going already. So we pulled in, I think, July 410 in, on it. And then, through the transition of the board, I just pulled 150. So there's just under 59,000 there.
So we're hanging on for about 30 days or more.
Well, they're not, it's us. I could tell them to send me the money every week if we chose to, but that's just more work, more transition, more process. So they don't sit on it at all. It's us as to when we tell them to send it to us.
So I'm just collecting all that money, they're holding money. I mean, until they send it back to POA, they can do whatever they want.
The escrow account,
Yeah, so it's an escrow account. Does it-
just like if you,
Does it collect interest?
escrow accounts don't collect interest.
Um,
So it's just like if you escrow your property tax and your insurance with your title company.
And then what about the delinquency issue? higher than last year? I know a lot of people that haven't paid or on time this year.
I don't,
Always paid on time.
the only comparative data I have is I know that when we employed Hawkinsmith to send out the warning letters from the attorney, that was in end of March or April. There were about 260 delinquent accounts, but where I don't have a comparison of what was delinquent of October of last year versus now, and part of the thing would be very difficult. I don't know we could ever get to it because we've been cleaning up accounts receivable to remove the bad debt out that we know is never gonna get collected. Properties that went to Jeffco trustee, things like that. So, I mean, I would venture a guess that we're probably not far off right now to where we were January of last year, but it could also be a little bit higher. We've got about, well, I know that I could tell you this, I know just from talking with City and Village in the office, we probably collected 40 or so assessment payments since we turned the cards off.
And I can say this much, I don't know if what is delinquent this year versus previous years is any higher. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but our collection efforts are way better because at the old collection agency, they took the 27% that we could have charged that they took out for their fee on top of any late payments or anything like that. And from what I was told by previous office staff, that they had an agreement with that company to settle on any amount we could get from them. So if they owed $3,000 and they offered us $1,500, it was understood that the office would say yes. So the collection efforts are getting paid in full plus penalties and interest. Whereas in the past, we were eating at 27%.
Also, the benefit of City of Village goes past actual, I mean, obviously the benefit's gonna be that we save money, but the idea that our processes are streamlined, number one. Number two, all the processes are overseen by a licensed accountant. And number three, there's no employee training, there's no employee turnover. So as soon as someone were to quit out of the office, it would immediately be replaced by someone in their facility that has the same training that had previously. So as far as our money collection, it's a no-brainer. Even if it was more expensive, the argument could still be made.
Well, one other thing is we don't have all these checks floating through that you have to reconcile to the bank accounts. Check bounce, they deal with it, we don't deal with it.
It's way less liability and way more secure.
And, Wendy, let me ask you this. If you didn't have City and Village, would you need more employees? So we'd have. So, well, other than what we found last year that wasn't done, so. Wasn't. But we had the old people too last year. So, no, Joanne was here through, she left in September right before the election, and Sue was here through June or so. So.
What's the concern about City and Village? What is it you think that we're not getting or missing?
Well, I mean, I know we just had an increase of assessment increase of COLA, so some is 2%, and then the 1.4% going to City and Village. I just don't understand why that same work could be done right here in Braintree. It hadn't been for years. That's my concern.
But if I understood you correctly, you said to hire a fourth person, hiring something about the 38%. What did you?
About 5 to 6% an employee would cost versus the 1.4.
Hey, that would be if there was an employee, but I've never known a fourth employee in here.
Well, there were 3 of them.
3 of them, and sometimes 2 of them.
No, there were 3 attempts at a fourth employee. Barb came to me and asked me if she could hire a fourth employee for 2 reasons. One, that they needed to get a fourth employee in here. 2, both Joanne and Sue had expressed interest in retiring. So we wanted to get at least one person in here up to speed before they retired. And then when they retired, we would replace them. The other thing is last year, we had over $150,000 worth of checks sitting in here that were undeposited. So the office wasn't able to keep up with the window, the tags, assessments, new people on board, training, whatnot. So we had to come up with a solution that regardless of who quits on their end, we still get the same service for 1.4% compared to about a 5 to 6% of an employee.
Staff, only 2 of them get overtime if they work overtime. The office manager gets straight pay. There's no overtime despite how many hours they put in.
Yeah, the office manager was always here, and so were the other 2 people. I could show you the overtime reports. They were bad.
Okay, so your bottom line is you think it costs us more money to go to city,
That's my opinion.
because you thought 3 people could manage it.
Yes.
Even if the 1.4%, if that was the truth, the benefit we get from city and village is far outweighs all the money that would be worth. I mean, to think you're gonna spend all over 1 year to pay for it. I find it to be incredibly more efficient and secure and not having that amount of money floating through the office. Not to mention the cash deposits for the assessments as well. That's completely streamlined now too. And it makes a seamless transition for people wanting to pay monthly as well, which was another consideration that we wanted. They had the infrastructure for it. I think it'd be a better product if we get it figured out a little bit better. I think it'd be better overall if everyone could pay monthly. But
I did. Thank you, so.
yeah, then someone had to process that check. We don't do that anymore. City and village takes care of it for us. But the number one thing is in this, more than anybody else, finding employees here is miserable, and not here, but in this environment. And then turnover, right? So you're going to find someone you have to train, which takes at least 6 months to get them up to speed. And if they work here for another 6 months, but then quit, we're back and restarting the process. And here, there's no funny business. There's no stress. There's no nothing with someone third party doing our accounting work on that end. It's an easy decision for me.
John?
Going back to, the golf course decision that was made and now having the restaurant and everything. When that was decided, legally and everything, there was an agreement, I think, that the committee would meet with the committee from the golf course and have the semi-annual review or something. Is all that taking place, or is that, is both sides doing their part? I mean,
We met with,
questions at this point?
I think we met with Dave at the beginning of the summer. And we brought up some issues, and he talked about where he was with everything. And at that point in time, he was in negotiations with restaurants, but nothing was finalized. So there has been some concerns about the fitness room. And John, I don't know if you brought it to him, but we asked the people that were concerned about it if they had brought it to his attention. So I don't know if that's been addressed, but we do have the meetings with the country club. And we made that a public document too. That was presented at one of the board meetings. Something about everything's broken there. I've never been in there, and
That's all it was. Somebody, we just referred them to talk to Dave. Yeah, it was just an email they just sent.
And if after they talk to him, if it's still that way, then yes, we will address that as part of our ongoing negotiations with the country
Yeah,
club.
I haven't heard back. That was
Over a month
yeah,
ago.
over a month ago.
I heard one person that mentioned that something wasn't working and it wasn't being done correctly because it was a treadmill. Yeah. And it was an older model and you had to, what was it? Put a key in it or something, turn the key or whatever.
The other complaint was something about the card key wasn't working on the door or something. I don't know.
I didn't get that one.
But I will, I think things are moving in the right direction. We're gonna get a restaurant in there. The pickleball court's coming next summer. Granted, it was a bumpy road for a while, but I think he's doing everything right for us. I mean, it's not a perfect world, but we're moving in the right direction. Yes, definitely. Deb?
I just wanted to clarify that there is a schedule by which fish are added to the lakes. Different fish go in, some of them go in every year, some of them go in every other year. Spring Lake receives fish, the winter summer lake receives fish, and autumn lake receives fish. And it's in the files in there. I believe that last year Nick said, excuse me, Tim said that he thought that there were too many fish and he didn't want to motion that we not add fish, if you recall.
Yeah.
But I can help you if, well, I can't go back there, but the ladies can help you find that folder that shows when fish should be added and who we contact at Grayville, that all the lakes get fish.
So I can tell you the walleye is on the main lake every other year in the fall, like this time. Other than that, I don't know. But I will know, I think I had Laurie Haller follow on the one lake one summer.
My husband said something about the walleye. Somebody said that Spring Lake doesn't get walleye because it's not deep enough. Well, it's 45, 48 feet there by the dam. So that's deep
I
enough.
don't know about that, but I will say Tim got
I
a
don't know.
quote from some company that said we needed to do an audit on our lake and
Yeah,
it was like 35 or 40 grand.
Yeah.
Shock the
census.
fish, they float up, they somehow count them.
Census.
I looked and see if, I don't see any record about fish counting.
They've never.
No, we've never done it because the quote was like 35 grand.
Oh, I think it was
Well,
3,500.
That was 3,500. I think it was, no,
No, it was,
35 grand?
no, that was something different. That was the mapping of the lake.
Oh, for,
That was the mapping of the lake to dredge.
oh,
So
I
that
could've
was
swore it was
38
for the
grand.
fish
I think
thing.
the fish census was like, I don't know, if we didn't stock the fish for the lake for 1 year, it would pay for more than half of what the census
maybe I'm
was.
confusing. I could have swore it was
the
like
census is
35
real
grand.
important so that you know what kind of fish you have already in there and what you should be putting in. If you keep putting in the same stuff and you don't need it, I think that's, I don't know, I'm not a fisherman. so
I'm not either.
But my husband says, the fish aren't getting much bigger than this. So the biggest fish he's ever caught is about 12 inches, or whatever, but
Stunted because of overcrowding or they're stunted because there's nothing for them, no,
vegetation
young
or
fish,
whatever.
no young fish for them
Oh,
to feed on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of shooting in the dark.
That's what he was saying. If we had a census, we would know what kind of fish we
We need a
have.
fish count.
And I think it was about $2,000 or $3,000 because they looked into it at
What
one time
was the dredging thing gonna do?
to map.
You have to map the depth and everything of the lake where they're gonna dredge, or they give you a quote to.
And I'll have Mark talk to my husband, because he was on that Lakes and Beaches and they talked about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so for the new board members going into reviewing the budget for next year, could I ask that you take a really close fine look at the cleaning budget? Because we've Linda and I have mentioned this multiple times over the last year, that the fact that we're paying somebody $175 a month to clean the office or to clean this building and downstairs. And I believe, Ms. Kirkpatrick had volunteered to do it for free as a member of the Rangery Volunteer Network. And she owns a cleaning business.
That's bad business.
You did your time and energy.